I passed the finish line, and my pit board was not there. And then, when I arrived to the hairpin, I see everybody standing up with the flag, the Ferrari flag. They say, "Okay, I understand." I pass the pit board, the CP1, and then I had a shock. I had a big shock.
I love the fact that you actually found out that you were in the lead of the race from the fans before you did from the team.
If I look my career, I did 32 podiums. I had many possibilities to win the Grand Prix, but always something was happening, and I was not able to make it happen, to have more wins. So for me, a win is like a World Cup.
Welcome everyone to this week's F1 Beyond the Grid, one of our Legends episodes, because I'm joined by the one and only Jean Alesi.
Thank you. Good morning.
Jean, it's great to see you. Great to have you on the show again. And it's lovely to see you at a race again. You still love Formula One, don't you?
It's not about love, it's really passion. For me, F1 is my life. As a driver, and now I'm a supporter, I'm a super fan. I watch everything.
Well, today, can I take you back to 1995, Montreal?
Very excited about that.
Your first win, you're in car number 27, in a Ferrari, on your 31st birthday. When you think back to that amazing day, what is the first memory that comes to mind?
The first memory is the last laps, because in our days we had the cars very fragile. Just to remind a bit, because we forgot about that, our engine, the engine we had at the time in Ferrari was a V12 engine, 17,000 revs. So, all these vibrations, and you have to cross the fingers to say, please stay in one piece, because people sometimes, they think I exaggerate, because they can say, okay, he only won one race, and he's so excited about that. But back to these days, if I look my career, I did 32 podiums. My first race, I finished fourth.
Ran second.
Yeah.
That was back in 89 in the Tyrrell.
And I had many possibilities to win the Grand Prix, but always something was happening, and I was not able to make it happen, to have more wins. So for me, a win is like a World Cup.
And so you talk about the last 10 laps, because of course Schumacher had his electrical problem here in Montreal, didn't he? And do you start hearing strange noises from the engine? Do you start questioning everything when you're in the lead with so little of the race still to go?
Yeah, absolutely. That was my main issue, was to bring back the car. And Gerhard had, during the race, a fuel issue, because we were really on the limit with the fuel tank. And just in lap, in the pit lane, his engine stopped. He ran out of fuel, and I ran out of fuel in my in lap after the finish line. So we were always thinking, can the car stay in one piece?
Let's break down the weekend. And can we start by talking about the track, the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve? You'd always gone well here. You'd already had a couple of podiums in 92 and 94. Mm-hmm. What was it about the track that brought out the best in Jean Alesi?
I was a good breaker. So my really special point was the braking. And this is a circuit where you hit the brakes with a very high speed, like in Monza, where I go well as well. So I think that was my best point in Montreal, the braking.
What about the car, the 412? you've spoken about the V12, but was it a nice car to drive? Was it I mean, it was a quick car, but was it drivable?
For me, this car was the best car I drove for my whole career. Extremely fragile. I mean, I broke everything. Push rods, gearbox, engines, fuel pump. Everything was step by step going away, you know. But except that, the car was always everywhere fast. In Monza, in Monaco, in Montreal, in on a wet condition. This car was just amazing and very drivable, very drivable. Without power steering, so the steering wheel was a bit heavy, but except that, we deal with it.
Tell us more about the lack of power steering, because of course today the drivers have power steering. Just how physical was it?
You know, many times we see with the new cars, with a button they have on the steering wheel, and they change the regulations. In nowadays that was impossible, because with one hand it was impossible to survive for the whole Grand Prix. So you have to really hold the steering wheel with two hands, and in high speed corner with a downforce, it was very heavy. In hairpins with the caster heavy as well, so you had no chance really to go around with one hand and trying to change some parameters.
Look, final sort of preparation point about Montreal is you're with Gerhard, right? You've mentioned his name. He's your teammate. Why did you two rub along so well together? What was it about Gerhard?
You know, many times people think we had a lot of fun together. It was true, because out of the car we had a very good relationship, but we went well for 5 years because a lot of respect, a lot of speed from him and from myself at the time, very equal. So we had to fight hard to beat, or to beat me or to beat him. And that keep in between him and myself a very good respect and relationship.
How different was he to Alain Prost? Because when you moved to Ferrari, Alain was your teammate.
Yeah, with Alain was absolutely different, because Alain, it's the only driver I know, because at the time when you had a good position, you had the power to say to the team, I don't like him, I want him as a teammate, and normally you choose a weak teammate. Alain was the opposite. Alain didn't care about the teammate. He cares only of how to get his car fast. He had a special way to drive. So when I arrived in Fiorano, I remember very well this day. I had all the Ferrari available for me. That was my first day presentation to the Italian press, and I said to after the picture, then the first laps in Fiorano, they said, okay, what do you want to do? And I said, I'd like to drive the car with two different setups, Nigel Mansell and Alain Prost. So I said, okay, no problem. They prepared the car. And when I went out with the setup of Alain, I did 5 or 10 laps, because it's a short circuit. If you know, it's 59 seconds the lap. And I came in and they said, no, this car is too easy. I mean, I have a good traction. I have too much understeer in this place. And they start to change the setup, and I was going slower. Then I drive the Nigel Mansell setup. First corner, I was not able to turn the corner because he had a massive power, Nigel, in his arms, and he was setting the car mechanically in a way you had a tough you had no surprise because the steering wheel was not coming back on the other direction on the bumps and stuff like that. But you have to be very physically prepared to drive a Nigel car. So at the end, what I found out is Alain was very quiet and very open book because you had not the capacity to drive the car as him was able. So I learned a lot with him.
Who was the fastest teammate you ever had? While we digress.
Yeah, I believe so far Alain.
Yeah.
But Gerhard, he had this craziness at the moment who he was able to do something who surprised everybody in the team and myself as well. So Gerhard had a very pure velocity.
Yeah. Look, while we're talking drivers, bringing it back to 95, coming into the Montreal race, there was a bit of speculation that Michael Schumacher was going to move to Ferrari for 96. That was just starting to raise its head. Were you aware of that speculation? And what did Ferrari boss Jean Todt told you, if anything?
Well, I came to him and I asked him, and he said no. But when I found out, that make our relationship not so good.
Tough time. I mean,
Yeah.
and had Todd made it clear that both you and Gerhard were going to be leaving at the end of the year?
Well, that was the wish of Michael Schumacher, because when he accept the proposition with to join Ferrari, it was absolutely clear. His position was choosing the teammate, choosing the way to work on because we have the spare car at the time.
Yeah.
So everything was on him, and we had no chance to stay.
Yeah.
It was not a question of if Michael is coming, do you stay or not?
If Michael comes, you're going. That was
Because Michael had it on the contract.
This episode is sponsored by Car Gurus. One thing I've learned from looking for cars over the years is that almost every listing can look brilliant in the photos. The tricky part is figuring out what's actually a good buy once you start digging into the details. You compare prices, mileage, features, ownership history, and before long you've got dozens of tabs open trying to work out which cars are genuinely worth your time. That's why I'd suggest anyone thinking about buying a car should take a look at Car Gurus before anything else, because instead of just showing you endless listings, Car Gurus helps you make sense of them. You can view deal ratings from great deal to overpriced, so it's easier to judge whether a car is fairly priced based on its condition, mileage, and features. And all the important details are right there up front as well. Vehicle history, price changes, and dealer reviews, which makes it much easier to really narrow down your options. There are hundreds of thousands of cars available from top-rated dealers, and you can even set up alerts for price drops and new listings, so you never miss something worth looking at. Join the millions who've already found their best deal with Car Gurus. Go to cargurus.co.uk for complete vehicle details without any surprises. That's Car Gurus, cargurus.co.uk. Car Gurus. Search, buy, sorted.
You were carrying the number 27 on the car in 95. Of course, everyone associates that with Gilles Villeneuve. A lot of people, Jean, tell me that there are similarities between the way you drove and Gilles. Do you think it's a fair comparison?
Well, it's really fantastic to hear that, because he was my hero, and he's so far right now the number one driver for the Italian fans from up to now. When there is in the Italian press, they make a ranking of who was the best Ferrari driver. He's always number one. So I'm very pleased about that. But I cannot say yes, because Gilles is Gilles, and I try to drive by instinct. At the time, it was an easy time for the Formula One driver compared now. I feel much more complicated the F1 drivers from now to drive these cars, because they need to follow a kind of uh, route to use the car on a limit. In my days, you drive as you feel, as you uh, naturally. They never ever an engineer said to me, you brake too late, or you have to brake in this place. You need to operate the throttle in this way. Sacrifice this corner because you're going to be faster for at the end of the lap. Never. They just said to me how we can improve the car to go faster.
Well, let's talk about that, because you hit the ground running Montreal 95. You're second fastest in both of the practice sessions. And of course, back then there were no simulators, or nothing like what we have today. How much did you change the car sort of during the course of a Grand Prix weekend, and specifically here?
So here you have to be very careful. Like in Monaco, the evolution of the circuit is massive. So you don't have to overreact, because straight after the few laps, the car is not doing exactly what you want. You need to be only concentrate of the radite, because we had a lot of fuel at the beginning of the race, and in qualifying, of course, we qualified with an empty tank, but you had to make the car very low, but not too low to have some issue in the fast corners. So that was the main concern, the radite. And then slowly you start to understand what was the point to work on.
And so how much qualifying preparation would you put in during practice?
Not so much, because we wait at the end of the session, and we had 3 go with 3 set of new tires. And this, at this time you understand if the car was good or not.
You line up 5th on the grid.
Yeah.
Fair representation of where you and the car were, or
No. Something went wrong. I think, if I remember very well, I overdrive, and that was my problems many times. Overshooting the corners, be late on throttle, and I had more. Let's say it was easier for me during the Grand Prix to follow the others, to understand, because in my mind I was braking it on the right point, but maybe I was already 20 meters too much, And I didn't make a very good qualifying. But on Sunday we had a warm up.
it was wet?
It was wet. I was P1, and then I said, okay, start from this point and make it quiet for the first laps, and then we see.
Look, on the topic of overdriving, I think it's an interesting one. Why do drivers, not just Jean Alesi, why do drivers overdrive? Because you hear a lot of people talk about it. Is it just over eager, too much passion, you say too late on the brakes, but what causes it?
Every machine has a limit. A good driver is a driver who understands the limit of the car, because maybe the driver can forget or go over this limit, and then it's what we call the over shooting a corner, over driving, because you don't know what is the limit of your car, or you don't feel the limit of the car, and that cause some problems.
Yeah. So we've discussed the race morning warm-up. You're fastest, it's wet. It then stops raining, but there are still damp patches at the start of the Grand Prix. How confident were you going into the race?
Well, in this condition, honestly, I don't want to make it. I was the best. I was the best in a damp condition, no question. And during this year in '95, I start with slick tires in Nürburgring, And middle of the race, I had 1 minute lead to the second. Then in Suzuka, I have the penalty drive-through. I came in. I did my another lap. When I came in this in condition, it was wet. Everybody and myself had to start with rain tires. But after a few laps, when I had this penalty, I said on a radio to the team, "I'm coming back now, slick tires." And nobody replied, And then in lap, in this lap again, I said slicks. Nobody replied, and maybe my engineer said, "Okay, give him the slick tires." Came in, put the slicks. It was really wet. That was the race of my life. Okay, I came out of the pits after 2 corners, and maybe you exaggerate, but I was so upset. I push. Okay, I was in between 5 and 6 seconds faster than Michael. I pass everybody. I catch Michael, and when Michael, because we talk about we together after the race, on the radio he called the team and he said, "Alesi is in the same lap than me," and the team said yes. And then he started
to worry.
to worry a bit, and then my gearbox boom.
Well, as you say, you were electric at the start of the race, and you end up taking P2 from Damon Hill. I think it was lap 17, a lovely move down the inside of the hairpin.
Yeah.
Did you think you could catch Michael at that point? Michael Schumacher leading the race.
Yeah, no, because I try when I pass Damon. Then I had a free, let's say, air. The car was working very well, and I push, and he was 5 seconds ahead. I said he was not really moving, and when I was driving like that, the rear start to move a bit, and they said, okay, maybe I will not be able to. So I slow down a bit to cool the car as much as possible, and then I retry again. But when I retry, I see something in the tribunes, and then I say something happened. I pass the finish line, and my pit board was not there. I said okay, because Michael was already in the box, and there are no time to change the pit board position, And then when I arrive to the hairpin, I see everybody standing up with the flag, the Ferrari flag. They say, okay, I understand. I pass the pit board, the CP1, and then I had a shock, I had a big shock.
I love the fact that you actually found out that you were in the lead of the race from the fans before you did from the team.
Because Montreal is probably the circuit where you drive inside a stadium, because you have the grandstand so close to the circuit. Yeah. Not only at the hairpin, but in turn 6, in turn 7 and 8. I mean, there is really, you see the people moving or showing something to you.
That you've spoken already about how fragile the car was. How nervous were you at that point when you'd taken the lead? You've still got 10 or so laps to go. Were you incredibly nervous? Because you hadn't actually won a race since, I think, 89 in 3000 with Eddie Jordan, right?
Yeah. Well, as I said before, it was not a question of I didn't win and I had to win, or I didn't put a timer in my head saying, okay, you have to win. It's how many times I was leading, maybe, I don't know, in my whole career, 10, 12 times, where leading not lap 2, lap 3, leading when the car is over, where when you finish your pit stop, where you just have to bring back the car to the finish line, and then boom, 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 boom. So I was really thinking about the car, what to do to make it happen, not jumping on the curves. We had a very high,
They were higher curbs back then, weren't they?
yes,
Yeah.
we had a very high curves. Not braking too late, not going to the 17,000 revs, braking a little bit with the left foot on the straight to slow down the speed, because beginning of the Grand Prix with the fuel tank and the end of the Grand Prix, the car was very light, and the engine was going very well.
But there were no dramas, right? No problems. The car was perfect.
The car was perfect.
Yeah. So can you remember how you felt crossing the line to win your first race?
Yes, because I make a countdown in my head. I said, okay, brake for the chicane, it's the same chicane now. Okay, go out third, four, and whatever is happening, look just where is the finish line, because you don't see exactly the finish line. It's like a corner, So I said, okay, even if now I have a big explosion with the speed I will cross the finish, like like in the movie Cars with the town. So I remember that, and then a big moment up to the hairpin where I feel no fuel in the car, and I stop. It looks like for a World Cup, soccer one, there is a penalty, and yet there is all the fan sharing to you, because I was out. I was on the middle of this ground, and suddenly I hear the noise of a car. It was Michael just behind me, who took me on his car to bring me back to the box.
How was the ride back on the back of Michael's Benetton?
I burned my butt because I was on the engine cover, and I understand why now it's not allowed anymore, because it's quite dangerous. The car you don't know where to put your feet. But it was so good, so good. And Michael was happy. I mean, it's the first time he was not winning, and he was happy as well.
Did you have a good relationship with Michael?
Yeah, very much. Yeah, we had a very good relationship, again because of the respect in between him and myself. Nobody was jealous about anything. We were just enjoying a super time. But probably because when I joined Formula One, my competitor was Ayrton Senna, Nelson Piquet, Nigel Mansell, Gerd Berger, Alain Prost. I mean, big names and big champions. So when Michael came in 93, 92 or 93, I don't remember.
Well, the first race was 91, but then he won his first race in 92.
No, when Michael came in F1.
Yeah, 91.
91. So when you arrive in Spa, he was with Eddie Jordan, and Eddie brought him on the table at the restaurant. He said, it's my new driver, tell him what to do, And I saw the face of him, like, I don't need to have your advice, And they said, no, just be careful with a fuel tank when it's full, because there's a big difference with an empty tank. But the rest, do what you want, And then I found out during my relationship with him, with his character, to have Eddie Jordan to tell him, to bring him to a driver, saying, tell him what to do. He was funny.
This episode is sponsored by Vanta. One of the biggest challenges about modern business is how quickly new risks can appear without anybody really noticing at first. A new AI tool gets introduced. A vendor switches on AI features. Another integration gets added to the stack. And suddenly, there are all these moving parts operating across the business that need monitoring properly. That's exactly why AI risk is becoming such a major conversation right now. Most security programs simply weren't built for the speed at which AI tools and integrations are evolving. But that's where Vanta can help. Vanta is the #1 agentic trust platform used by over 16,000 fast-moving companies like Nando's and Granola to help ensure they're always audit ready. And now Vanta is helping companies monitor the risks that appear between audits too, across vendors, AI tools, and their wider environments. The Vanta agent works like a 24/7 GRC engineer in the background, identifying issues, helping draft fixes, and cutting vendor assessment time by up to 50%. So instead of constantly trying to keep up manually, teams can stay focused on growth while still maintaining trust and security. Whether you're a fast-growing startup or a global enterprise, Vanta is here to help you automate your security and compliance and earn and prove trust. So get started today at vanta.com/grid. That's VANTA.com/grid. This episode is sponsored by Shopify. You know that slightly annoying moment when you're rushing to buy something online and get stuck at checkout? You can't remember your password, your card details are out of date, and your bank decides now is the perfect time to send a verification code to another device. It's amazing how quickly a very straightforward purchase can suddenly start feeling like an admin job, which is why I always appreciate seeing that purple Shop Pay button. Because with Shop Pay, your details are already saved, so checkout becomes incredibly quick. No searching for your wallet, no typing everything out again, just a couple of taps and you're done. And that's all thanks to Shopify, the commerce platform powering millions of businesses around the world, from huge brands to people just getting started. Shopify gives businesses everything they need in one place, ready-to-go website templates, AI tools that help with product descriptions and images, plus built-in email and social media tools to help brands reach customers more easily. See less carts go abandoned and more sales go with Shopify and their Shop Pay button. Sign up for your $1 per month trial today at shopify.com/beyondthegrid. Go to shopify.com/beyondthegrid. That's shopify.com/beyondthegrid.
You had a very close relationship with Eddie, didn't you? Because you raced for him in 3000 and you actually shared the podium here in 95 with two Jordan drivers, Rubens and Eddie Irvine. Was that quite special, actually, to share it with Jordan drivers?
Yeah. Eddie was my man. As a driver, I will never be a Formula 1 driver without him. Impossible. Because when I joined Eddie Jordan in Formula 3000 in 89, that was my last chance to be a driver, not to think about F1. And he brought me in his house. I lived with Marie and the kids for 1 year. He did everything to me. He was like a big brother. And when I went to F1 in 89, and I said to him, "Thank you, Eddie, you helped me a lot." That was in July. But I will not drive the 3000 anymore with you because my goal was to go in F1. He said, "What did you say? You will never, ever see a F1 car if you don't finish my, you know how he was talking, championship, and you win the championship." And I said, "No, Eddie, please, please, please." But anyway, he convinced me, or I have no possibility to do another way. So I did. Every weekend, 3000 F1, 3000 F1. And then I went to Eddie and said, "Eddie, I'm sorry to tell you that, but why you don't do a F1 team? You are more organized than the Tyrrell team. And Tyrrell, honestly, they have a story. They have two fantastic engineers, so they design a supercar. But the rest, the team, when you go inside of the workshop, it's embarrassing sometimes, you know." And he started to think about that, and then he make his team.
Jean Alesi inspired Jordan's
Absolutely.
move to...
No, but that is the truth. Is a true story.
Yeah. And was EJ pleased for you? Although you beat his drivers in Montreal, was he pleased that you'd won?
Yes. Yeah. We were always in contact, you know.
Yeah.
And he was a kind of place where you go to him, you know, like you go to see the priest in the church because you don't know you can talk without having someone to have a right answer, I have to say.
So take us up onto the podium. your 31st birthday present. Hell of a good birthday present that, but there'd been a track invasion. There were fans everywhere. You had Jean Todt, I think, came up to get the constructors trophy as well. Just
Yeah.
take us up there. What was the emotion like for you?
Well, the emotion was so big. I remember I had a massive headache when I came back to the hospitality, and then I was with my brother, and they said, "Jose, let's go back to Avignon," and everything changed because suddenly the national TV they asked me to stay for the news on studio at 8 o'clock. So I had to change the flight, but I wanted to go home, And for a few days, I had to go to places because of this win.
Where did you go?
I go in Paris again. When I land, I went in Paris, a special show, 8 o'clock on the
Prime time.
prime time. Then I called Montezemolo and they said, Avvocato, I'm really tired. I would like to take time. He said, no, come to Rome. I organize a sightseeing in the Vatican. Said, can I bring my parents? Yes, you bring your parents. So I went there in Rome, and with my parents we went everywhere, like if I was the Pope, And that was a great moment.
And how did the team greet you when you were next in Maranello?
Well, they, the mechanics in Ferrari, they are special. They have a spirit like a driver. And they are very emotional. They are, they support you, but they live what you live. And that is fantastic.
Did the win change you as a racing driver?
No, because unfortunately, we came in a chapter when when Michael started to join Ferrari, and that destroyed my emotional moment.
What did it do for your confidence, though? The win?
No, the confidence.
You never lack confidence.
No, it didn't change anything on this respect. No.
Is it a huge frustration to you that you never won another one?
No. My biggest, if I have to speak about the frustration, it's the last Grand Prix I did with Ferrari in Monza. I wanted to win for my fan and to say thank you for what I had for all these years, and to have this retirement at 6 laps to go, leading the Grand Prix. That was my worst memories.
And although you went on and had many years afterwards in Formula One, were you always a Ferrari fan, even when you weren't racing for them?
Yeah. I had to be very careful sometimes to go to the racetrack with a pin with a Ferrari horse or something like that. But Ferrari, still now, he looks like it's my house.
And let's bring it on to today. What do you make of Ferrari in 2026? Do you think they can get back up to the very top?
I hope so, of course. It's really my level of fan is like when you follow a football team, and whatever they do, you are a fan.
Yeah.
So technically, these cars are amazing. F1 is very different than what I used to have. But Ferrari stay the leading team in terms of emotion for the fans.
Mm-hmm.
Even now with the new generation is the same. So I really hope they can get the World Championship for this new generation.
Mm-hmm. And when you look at the 22 drivers on the grid now, which one reminds you of you?
I don't know, because we had freedom, and these drivers are For me, with the age they have, the car, the size of the car, the technology on board, uh, you need to be an astronaut, to drive that. And my days was more a fight, a more freedom in terms of everything, Even if you had a fight with another driver on the circuit, it was a question in between him and you. Now it's in between you, the driver and the stewards. And the steward with the FIA, it's complicated, and I love F1, but I don't see myself being in a system like that.
Back to the drivers, though. I look at Charles Leclerc, and I think he has the passion of Jean Alesi. He has the car control of Jean Alesi. Would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. Charles is the typical Ferrari driver. He has the speed. He has the respect of the team. Because sometimes, Ferrari had the drivers where they don't care about Ferrari, or for them it's a team. Ferrari is not a team. It's a special. It's many times I say it's a religion.
Look, final one then. Who is the fastest racing driver you ever raced?
It's easy to say Ayrton. Ayrton Senna was incredible. Back to Montreal one day. He had the Ford engine, and I had my Ferrari. Beginning of the Grand Prix, we had 200 kilo of fuel. First lap, he passed me at the hairpin, and we make the whole hairpin together. But then we had a long left and right corners, and for the first few laps, it was not flat. But we had the wheels, like that. So his head was here. I was inside, he was outside. I said, if I lift, he's dead. If he lift, I'm dead. What do you think? But you have, such a short time to think about that. I said, he will not lift. I stay flat, he stay flat, and we pass the things like that. The car matched the ground like hell, and then he passed, But that, if it was Nigel or Gerhard, I was going away and let him go straight away,
So you had total trust in each other.
Yeah. And you knew he was going for it, but on a good way.
When I think of you and Ayrton, that's a lovely story that you've told us about Montreal, but who can forget Phoenix?
Yeah.
Phoenix 1990. When
But that
the
was
new
different.
Jean Alesi overtook him, in a
No.
Tyrrell.
But that was different because we had the Pirelli tires, and on the low grip condition, these tires was amazing. And the Tyrrell, beginning of the Grand Prix, I had 25, 30 kilo less fuel than the other teams. So I had a super fast car. At the start, I took the lead, and then I knew at one stage he was coming back, we had not the speed limit in the pits. So he came, he changed the tires, middle of the race, and I did the whole Grand Prix with the same tires. But he changed, it took him not long to catch me. And then I said, okay, no problem, let's go for it. So I was not blocking at all, but I tried for the first time to brake later than what I think. So then he was very late, and he passed me. I said, oh my God, but he didn't make it. He went a bit wild, and then I have, the door open. So I crossed his line, and I took the lead again. And that was funny because I had no no stress. The only thing I was thinking was my friends in Avignon, they will see that and they will laugh, But I knew I had no chance to win the Grand Prix.
If you no longer go for a gap, you're no longer a racing driver, Jean. That was the great quote from Ayrton. Did you and him ever discuss that after the race?
No, after the race, he get mad about me because I was on a grid with a normal T-shirt, with a cotton. And my team manager, he said, "Do you have inifugé, for the fireproof T-shirt?" I said, "No." He said, "What do you think?" So he went in the McLaren hospitality, and they give him a T-shirt. And Ayrton was a bit mad about that. He had all his T-shirts going to the church, benediction, before the race. And they give me this T-shirt, and I put, and something was scratching. He has his name inside Ayrton, So after the race, we arrived to the press conference, and he said, "Wow, but the car, how it happened? I was not able to catch you straight away. Then he was okay, but." What was so special on your car? And they said, "No, today was to Ayrton." And I show him when he sees that, he was very upset to me. He said, "Where did you get that?" And then, "No, I will tell you later." No, who give you this T-shirt? Then,
Jean, I never knew that. You were wearing Senna's T-shirt in that race where you overtook him.
So then I said, okay, I explained the situation. He said, "Okay, I understand, but the guys." So, he was very sensitive about that.
Jean, what a wonderful chat. Thank you so much for just sharing some wonderful stories. And of course, Montreal 95, we will remember for a very long time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.